Want to learn how to make buttonholes on your sewing machine? Learn how right now with me, Stacy. Welcome to another episode of Sewing with Stacy. Today I'm going to teach you how to make buttonholes for all of your projects using your automatic buttonholer. So go ahead and grab your accessories. The biggest thing you're going to need is your automatic buttonholer foot. For our buttonhole project, here's some accessories you might need. A pen or marking tool to make your buttonholes, your automatic buttonholer foot, which comes with your machine, your buttons, a ruler, and a seam ripper or a sharp pair of snips. To set up your machine for buttonhole stitching, we need to change a few things. First, start at the stitch dial. You're going to turn it to buttonholes. Make sure that the buttonhole picture is lined up with the dot. Next, you're going to change your stitch length. See these funny little lines right here? That's actually a buttonhole turned on its side. It matches this right here. Make sure it lines up with the dot. Lastly, we need to change our stitch width, which is this dial right on top. That determines how wide the stitching is for our buttonhole. I normally like to set mine to either 4 or 5, sometimes even all the way to 6, but it's personal preference on how much width you want. Now that you have your thread set up, we're going to set up your presser foot. Go ahead and release your standard presser foot and set it off to the side. Grab your automatic buttonholer and the button that you're going to put on your machine. This automatic buttonholer can be set up to do buttonholes of almost any size. How it knows, and why it's an automatic buttonholer, is that you put one of your buttons right into the foot. That's how it knows how big to make the buttonhole. Now see, you don't want to be able to put the button in from the side. If you can slip it in from the side, your buttonhole is probably going to be too big. And if you set it in from the bottom to the top, so it just gently sets in there, that's generally a good size buttonhole. And you don't want to clamp it down tight on the button either, because then that buttonhole will be too tight and you'll have a really hard time getting the button through it. So just a little bit of breathing room, so you can't go in from the side. You just set it in from the top down. And these little clicks are pretty tight. So once you have that set, go ahead and line it up under the foot, under the leg, drop it down, and it'll click in place. The most important step here is to actually come under your machine and pull this lever all the way down and push it back. This lever tells the automatic buttonholer when to change directions. That's how it makes it automatic. It's really simple, but you have to make sure that you do all the steps so that it does what it's supposed to do. All right, let's set up our fabric now to make our buttonhole. Normally what I would do is I would take my ruler. I have the type of ruler that has the hole in the middle so that I can line this up and mark where I want my buttonholes. And you can either use a water-soluble marker. Today I'm just going to use my silver Sharpie. Like I said, these are 5/8 buttons. So normally I draw out 1/8 bigger than my button. So this is a 6/8 line to kind of give me a guide of how big and where I want that to be. Now, when you're running, when you're gonna make your buttonhole, when you're running the automatic buttonholer, it's going to start here, run down the line, across, and come back. So it's gonna go away from you and then come back. And there's a little hole in here. You can there's the crosshairs printed on it. I don't have mine colored in. Sometimes they come colored in, but you're gonna wanna line that up again with the bottom of your line. Again, make sure that that is pushed back. I just kind of hold my threads, needle down, and you should be ready to go. Now this machine doesn't just automatically stop when the buttonhole is done. Some machines do. You will just see that it comes back to the start and just zigzags back and forth until the cows come home. That's when you know it's over. You can just lift that up and you're done. Clip your threads. And there's your buttonhole. Now, to get your buttonhole open, I like to use my snips. I feel like I have more control that way. And I'm not just gonna slice my finger, you know, slice my hole open, because sometimes when you use your seam ripper, you might catch it and run all the way through those stitches. But with the snips, you have a little bit more control to get in there. You have to push this back every time. When I'm doing it, you'll see that this tab on the automatic buttonholer, it runs into this and pushes it forward. That's how it knows how to change the direction. So it is very important that this is all the way down and pushed back at the start of every buttonhole you do. So again, I'm just on scrap, and again, it's gonna start here, work its way up, and come back. Pushed in, needle down, and goes across. And then you can, you know, if you're doing multiples, you can just lift up. Again, go all the way down, push it back. Now you have 2 buttonholes. All you have to do is just clip those threads. On the back. And today I'm using white thread on here so that you can kind of see what's going on, but I normally would use a coordinating thread color. And again, I like to use snips to come in. I start in the middle. Hold it taut and just clip down in between those threads to create your buttonhole. And if we want to test it out before we put our buttons on, See how that button just slides in there? That's a nice size buttonhole for this button. And now we're good to go. Okay, now you've done your buttonholes, you're done with buttonholes. Make sure you reset your machine. As simple as you pulled this down, you're just gonna push it forward towards you so it's reset. It slides right back up into your machine. Release your automatic buttonholer. Put your standard presser foot back on. Reset your thread width back to 0. Your stitch length back to whatever you normally use. And you can set your stitch back to a straight stitch. And you are all set up for regular straight stitch sewing once again. Alright, it's that simple. Using your automatic buttonholer is super easy. It's mostly just setup. Once you have it all set up, you're good to go. And you're ready to put buttons on. But who wants to put buttons on by hand? Certainly not me. So check out my next video where I teach you how to put buttons on using your machine. And if you want any of the tools or fabrics I use, check the description below for links. Thanks for sharing your time with me, and don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks guys, and I'll see you between the seams.